appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate the crowd that we have. It's very important that the community gets involved. Me and the other magistrates every day get to see what happens here as you do. I think the toughest part about it is when the families and the community that's associated with the people that are in this situation, we get to deal with them, and you see the heartache and you see the pain and suffering that they've been through. And I wanted to touch on something that the sheriff said. He's absolutely right that there's no possible way to take care of these doctors in some of these situations. And it's the same thing across the board. There's a number of avenues that we are affected, and it's kind of overlooked and it's not taken care of, and that's where the community would get involved. You can't prosecute them, but socially, these people, if they're called out when these things happen, it affects them. It affects them economically, it affects their business, and it's up to us to stand up and say, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but I don't think it's right. Or, you know, what can we be doing? Now, Ronald Reagan, when he had his cabinet meetings after he declared war on drugs, he would go around the room, and everybody in the room, you'd think that the Agricultural Commission would have nothing to do with the war on drugs, but he would go around the room and he would say, what are you doing today for the war on drugs? And that's exactly the way we've got to look at it, because there's something that each and every one of us can do to battle this war, and that's what it is. It's a war. You guys have seen it, and you've been in the battles, and you've fought it all the time, some more than others. But even if you don't think that you've had any direct contact with someone who's addicted to drugs or an addict, you have indirectly, because we spend millions and millions of dollars a year battling this. There's officers here that we put a lot of money into, the prosecutors here, the sheriffs here, the legislature battles this. So it's a problem that everyone has. As I said, we get to deal with it on the backside after you're arrested, and we see what the families go through. We see what the business owners who go through. There's always something we can do. And I got a story. A gentleman came to me last week, and this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. A gentleman came to me last week, and he said, Magistrate Massie, I was at work the other day. There was a random urinalysis. And before I went in and took my test, one of my coworkers came to me and he said, can you give my sample for me, because I'm going to lose my job? And he said, no, I won't give you a sample, but I'm going to go tell the boss what you just asked me. He did that. The boss was then able to watch what happened, and the next day there was 11 people in that place that are out of work. So I asked the guy, I said, are you afraid of reprisal to some degree? And he said, I'm not as afraid of that as I was afraid of going into the mine with somebody that's hooked on dope and is going to get me killed, and my family will be without. So that's a perfect example of what I wanted to get across, is that it's a community issue. There's ways that each and every one of us can battle this in the community. That gentleman was a perfect example, and if you see somebody doing that, it's an opportunity to applaud. The magistrate court's there. You can walk in and talk to us if you have any questions. Any of us would be happy to take your questions and talk to you about it. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I appreciate everyone that's here and is willing to take part in this. So I just say, as our president said, what are you doing today in the war on drugs?